I think some of the most powerful goals are the ones that don't have a ceiling, right? If you want to make a difference, that doesn't end. And so people set these goals it's great to have your sort of intermittent goals along the way. They're sort of markers in time. They allow you to celebrate along the way. But the ultimate manifesto, sort of like whatever the statement is about what it is that you're doing, whatever your brand mission is or your mission in general, I don't know, maybe you could share your thoughts around that being something that doesn't have a ceiling and therefore can take the most expansive form possible.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's something that it becomes more of a purpose for you and your mission of really just as a human. Because, I mean, if you look at some of the wealthiest people in the world, you look at Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
Why does he still get up and work? Like you
Right.
have all the money in the world. You can literally just fly around in a private jet and just do the most exotic things in the world. Why
All day, every day.
All day, every day, and never have to stress about money ever. Well, he likes what he does. He likes researching companies. He gets a certain excitement out of that you don't get out of doing other things. And so for him, it's that matter of purpose. And you look at an easy example to see is just look at Shark Tank. You have these sharks on Shark Tank. Why are they there? They don't need more money, right? They enjoy entrepreneurship. They got to where they were because they were entrepreneurs. That entrepreneurial energy is something that you want to be around. And so now you can help other entrepreneurs and go back into the entrepreneurial energy. Another $1 million, when you have $100 million, doesn't change your life. It doesn't really affect you at all. It's just one of those things where it's for the purpose, the energy, and the fun, and the excitement, and the impact that you can make. And I really think you're right, where it's that no more ceiling. It's now how you have fun. I mean, this is like exciting. Like,
let's go to some nuts and bolts and some like takeaways, because I would imagine most anybody listening can sort of, maybe they have spent a few minutes here during this conversation and intuitively identified some things that they truly enjoy doing. And they're like, man, I freaking hate my job. That's what they've realized in the last half hour. They're like, I hate my job. And I think that's kind of exciting. So what happens now if you're someone who knows what they love? Maybe you're even someone who's got the ball rolling a little bit, and on the side, you're kind of playing around with something else that you love. How the hell do you take that and give it the right nourishment to grow into something great? Like, where do you start?
So the first thing is going to be, assuming you have some sort of idea, first thing is you start learning. Go onto YouTube, start reading as many books as possible. So watch as many business, entrepreneurial channels, videos that can help you.
Any books, like any books or, I mean, you have tons of videos on your YouTube, but like any books that were pivotal for you?
Well, a lot of the pivotal books are financial books related to investing, money management, real estate. So, I mean, if you want to start there, Robert Kiyosaki has a great book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Balance that out with Dave Ramsey's books on money management. They're two completely opposite opinions on money, but they're very, very helpful books. There's tons of books on anything personal finance. But now when you go to the business side, I nowadays love reading biographies of people, of successful, not just entrepreneurs, but really all kinds of people. You hear their story and their journeys. It's not just motivational, but very educational indirectly, because you get to hear what they did from their own opinions. So it's like, what would you pay to have lunch with Warren Buffett? Well, it doesn't matter what you pay. It's not worth his time. But there's books about things that he did. Same with Richard Branson. Same with, most successful people. So read books like that. Or if you want more technical books, just go into Audible or Amazon and look at the top 25 or 50 business books in a category. Buy them all, read them. And there is your MBA for less than, $200. And I promise you're going to get more, especially if you're starting a business, you're going to get more value out of those books than you will out of trying to go and do a traditional MBA that's going to cost you $100,000.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay.
So now you start learning. The second thing is start doing. And so if you have a job, do it in addition to that. Don't just quit your job unless you have the financial resources to fall back on. It's going to be hard because you're going to say, well, I'm already working so much and I got kids. And I know it's hard, but this is where, when there's a will, there's a way. And this is so true with every aspect of our lives. If you really want to make a change, you will find a way to do it. You'll wake up an hour earlier. You'll go to bed an hour later. You will find some time on the weekends. You'll find some times in the middle of your workday to do something.
Because remember, it gives you energy. Your purpose gives you energy.
Exactly. Like you're going to find a way, and you will. And so now just start putting it in action. And then when you screw up, tell yourself it's okay, because that's the part of the process. If you're not screwing up, you're not trying enough things. Like you have to make mistakes. You have to screw up. But then when you do screw up, learn, start again, do it again. Like I had to go from business idea to business idea to business idea to business idea, like again and again and again and again, before I finally found something that was sustainable for me, because it was how I learned. Like I screwed up many times, and some of the businesses that I started did very well. And to stop them when you're like, you're making 6 figures plus a year and then realize this is not my passion, this is not my purpose, I hate this industry, and then stop it. Oh, you feel like you're starting over. But this is one of those things where, life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You have time ahead of you. And if you don't do it now, 2 years from now, you're going to wish, what if I just started 2 years ago? So might as well start now. Take little steps and just keep inching forward. And then you'll see, oh yeah, even though I screwed up so much, I learned so much. I learned how to market. I learned how to sell. I learned how to build something online. And it's all a part of the learning process. And there's no other way to do it besides just doing it, learning, screwing up, and doing it again. We always assume that, oh, I don't have a lot of money to start this idea. How am I going to build it? But sometimes that's the best thing that can happen. Like my Minority Mindset companies, this whole brand started off with less than, I don't know, $200, because all I started was making videos off my phone. And then that grew and grew and grew. And now we have a whole team. We have multiple companies under our belt. But one of the things that we tried to do was build a blog for Minority Mindset, the minoritymindset.com. Now, I was stretched very thin. Like I was doing so many different things. Like I was building Market Briefs, which is our newsletter. I was working on Market Insiders, an app that we have. I was building my YouTube videos, and I was doing a lot of different things. So for me, building this blog wasn't like my top priority. I had a team for it. Like we had some staff members. We had a ton of freelance writers. So we hired one of the top blog consultants in the world to manage and lead and take charge of a blog. And we were paying them a lot of money, like over, I don't remember how much, but over $100,000 a year, like at least, like on the low end. So a lot of money where you would expect that, okay, just turn our blog around, give us some traction. So we paid them a lot of money and we saw no growth. I think actually our website traffic went down. And so now we're hundreds of thousands of dollars in. And now I was like, exactly, like, okay, like, yeah, I'm okay financially, but this is just stupid. Like, what is happening here? And so we fired the agency. We really consolidated, and we're like, okay, what do we need to do to turn this blog around? And so now it's like me investing my time, my energy, and building a team to start researching, going back to the basics, researching, learning, implementing, failing, and trying again. Like fail fast is what they say. So it was one of those things where, we did it for a year and realized this is definitely not the right direction, even though it takes a long time to build a blog. And so we completely turned it around. Now we have a much smaller team, but a faster growing blog. And we're growing way faster than we were before. Then when we had all that money going into it. So it's one of those things where more money doesn't always solve the problem. It's going back to the roots sometimes and being creative. That's what's exciting about being an entrepreneur or a bootstrapper. When you're starting with nothing or very little, you got to figure it out. Like when I was in college, I was running an event planning company. And I started this because in high school, I was hosting. So I started off playing the drum at Indian weddings. And then when I started working at Indian weddings, I got to meet a lot of the local DJs. The DJs had this idea for us to host teen parties when I was in high school at this local restaurant that was looking for more exposure because they just opened. So I did that for a little while as a hobby. But I knew I was like, this is just for fun. When I go to college, I got to really buckle down and become a doctor. Anyways, I go to college not knowing what to expect. and I see everybody around me partying, drinking, doing all this stuff. And I was like, well, I don't drink. I'm not really into the party scene, although I was hosting the parties, but I need something to do on Friday nights. So now I'm knocking on the doors of every club, venue, bar, restaurant on campus, trying to figure out if I could host a party here. I was 17 at the time. And one club finally said, yes, you can host a party here. You don't have to pay us anything. Just give us 50% of the revenue that you generate, the cover charge. I was like, all right, we're in business. Because the previous places that I talked to were asking for a minimum of $10,000 to host an event, and I did not have anywhere close to 10 grand. So now we were in business. Then I found a DJ who was a friend of mine to work on a commission basis that he would take 50% of the revenue that I generate. So I'm giving 50% to the club and then 25% to the DJ, which leaves 25% to me, but I don't have any costs. And it was a way for me to get started. And then now it was all about being creative and clever with our marketing. Like this is when Facebook used to be very popular for younger people, like high schoolers and college people. And so Facebook would tell you when everyone's birthday is. And so we would message everyone's birthday. Like if it's the party was in September, we'd message everybody in September and say, hey, because it's your birthday, we want to celebrate. We're going to announce your name at the club, at the event, and we'll also give you free entry into the party. Now, free entry doesn't cost us anything, and shouting you out doesn't cost you anything, but nobody wants to celebrate their birthday alone. You're going to bring your closest 5 to 10 friends. And so, it's just like creative marketing of how can you now get the word out without spending all this money and just figuring it out. Because many times we assume that the reason why we can't become successful is because we don't have the tool set, when in reality, we're lacking the mindset. And so we have to work on that mindset first, and then you can build the tool set after.